Welcome to Raw Take, everyone, the lifeline to your unfiltered media experience. I'm your host, Gian Thomas, and this is my co-host, D. Williams. We have a special guest on today's show. We have former Houston City Council candidate Marcel McClinton, also gun activist. We got an amazing show today, guys. We'll be talking about actor Shamik Moore, and we'll be talking about his comments with Rosa Parks. We'll also be talking about Trump calling protesters thugs, and once again, we'll be touching on George Floyd. So, for our first topic, we're going to let Marcel spearhead it. He's talking about the importance of the young vote and how it's a priority.
Yeah, thank you both for having me on, Gian. It's always good to see you. Appreciate the support through last year, and good to meet you and virtually meet you, David. We talk about whenever I was running for city council last year, we had a goal and a message that we were trying to share and spread that had to do with the importance of the young vote, and not just in the city of Houston, but all across Texas, and then again in all 50 states across the country. In Texas, I believe we have 1.3, 1.4 million students on college campuses across the state, private, public, and community colleges and technical schools. And these are young people between the ages of 18 to 26 or 28, and that entire demographic is critical to, I think, the upcoming election and every election that'll take place after this one. If we can save our democracy and keep having elections, that would be ideal. And the reason that is, we see time and time again, in my opinion, the Republican Party try to suppress votes. We saw it in Georgia, we see it in Florida, we see it in Virginia, we see it in Texas, we see it in all states. This has been a systemic problem in the country, and it's gone from group to group from marginalized group to marginalized group. If it's suppressing and trying to block out the black vote, if it's trying to ensure that Latinos don't turn out in droves, if it's trying to ensure that women don't have access to polling locations. We saw in Florida this poll tax, this modern day poll tax that Governor DeSantis was trying to have folks pay in order to vote, or formerly incarcerated folks to have the right to vote. That stuff is so old U.S. history, and given the fact that we are in the year 2020 and have overcome so much, it's the demographic, the key hotbed voting demographic, I believe, is young people between that age group that I said before. Because we are known to be the most progressive generation in American history. I think that if we turned out in the same numbers as the Republican Party, we would see systemic changes take place in every institution that we want to see it changed. The GOP, I think, and let me know if you agree with me, I think the GOP is really, really good at their messaging strategy and at ensuring that all of their voters in their demographics that they want to target turn out to vote for every single race up and down the ballot. And we need to do the same thing. We need to be educating young people about the importance of voting all the way down ballot, from our judicial seats to our county-wide seats to who is the DA. Because elections have real consequences. We are living in, I think, I'm only 18, so the darkest time in my lifetime, right, is I think right now with Donald Trump in the White House. But we have a long way to go, and young folks, being the most progressive generation in American history, have a real opportunity to change that around for the better. And that starts with voting in large numbers, and then it goes to running for office and letting a new generation have some influence over the course of our democracy and where we want to see things go. So we're looking to build the country for the future and not stifle back into the past, every single day. And Gian, I know that's a big goal of yours too, is to target young people and to encourage engagement. And I appreciate your work on that. And it's things like this, right? It's that are going to help, motivate the next young person to finally register to vote, and to be able to understand the issues in a way that they may not have before, because they are listening to folks talk. They're watching people talk about the issues. And they're able to draw their own thoughts and ideas from that. So things like this are really beneficial to accomplishing that goal.
Now, Marcel, I have a quick question. What do you
Yeah.
feel is the best way to try and get people more engaged? I know, especially in our younger generation, we have a lot of passion, we have a lot of fight to get out there, but sometimes on election day we don't show up. So, what would be your suggestion to get voter turnout to really, really be out there?
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple of things. I mean, we have, we cannot just say, we can't make our first connection with a voter, or a non-registered voter, and convince them to register to vote, to make that first step, and then kind of drop off and forget about them, right? And like go on to the next. Because if we do that now in May and June, by the time November comes around, if they're not being, flooded with information, and given resources to educate themselves about the issues that they may be passionate about and most passionate about, and they're going to not vote. Because I think that in order to motivate a base, you have to trigger people's emotions, and you need to dig deep into the issues that they care about the most, and really make them believe how and why you are the right person to make that change, right? And so that falls on the backs of candidates. I think it falls on the backs of religious leaders who are saying, look, we have a religious a religious path, and morals set in our religion, of helping, our neighbors, and standing up for, and not being a bystander, right, and things like
Yeah.
that. It falls on the backs of these community leaders, folks in schools and classrooms and on college campuses, and people who have clubs, to motivate a base around an issue. If it's healthcare, if it's gun violence, if it's women's rights, if it's the climate. I mean, a number of different issues. If it's black businesses, if that is what motivates you to go to the polls, then we need to be hounding people with that specific interest about why, for instance, Joe Biden is the best person to expand and grow black businesses to be as successful as possible, and not Donald J. Trump, right? Like, we need to make that connection and lay it out for people, so that they have no doubt in their mind that they're making, a vote that counts. And that's the other thing, right? A lot of folks don't think that their vote matters anymore. They say they've been telling us to vote for decades, and we've been voting, and look at where we are, right? We've been voting, and we got X, Y, and Z, and it's not changing anything. But and that is to a degree true. It's not wrong, right? People have been voting, and they've still been oppressed left and right by somebody somewhere at some point in time. And that is why this election matters so much, because we can either go really far in this direction, and never see and recognize the America that we know and love right now, or we can take corrective action, through our votes, to ensure that we have basic human rights, that we have the chance to keep moving forward, even though it feels that right now we have moved so far back. We can't afford to move back any further. It's something that all three of us, and millions of other people cannot risk, right? We cannot risk more.
Definitely. I mean, because this is the same fight our grandparents and great grandparents were fighting, and it doesn't make sense that in 2020 that we are still fighting the fight from 60 and 40 years ago. Like that's asinine, and especially to be in America, the greatest country on earth. I mean, why are we still dealing with this racism? Why is that? That shouldn't be. So one of our next topic, we're going to talk about Shamik Moore, actor of Into the Spider Verse. He said Rosa Parks could have took a cab instead of the bus. I feel like this man's comments are, excuse my language, but ass backwards. I mean, for you to even to he's catering to the narrative of races, and that to me is the most disgusting thing. You have a platform, he has a platform, he has millions of followers, he's a pretty known actor. Into the Spideyverse, that was a highly rated movie, and for him to use his platform to basically condone races, I mean that's unforgivable to me, especially in this time that we are in now. I mean, they are literally killing us day in and day out, and you're gonna go there and cater to them. That to me, that's asinine. That's mind boggling. And for him just to that it no it just shows how he's so out of touch, and that's what happens with a lot of these celebrities. They may look like us, but they don't feel like us, because you know why? They don't go through the same things that we go through every day. They don't witness or have to be treated the way we're treated, because they come from a place of privilege. They have money. They are recognized, so of course they don't get treated like us. And they might get treated like that, but that's if their entourage, and they're not at a red carpet event, then maybe they might not get recognized. But most of the time, these people are around other affluent people, and they're mainly recognizable through the people they're around or the things they have. So for him just to have that kind of platform and just belittle Rosa Parks like that, that is just enraging to
Yeah, I agree, man. For one, I mean, this guy, Shamik, he's young, so he doesn't understand the struggle that black people has been going through literally since day one.
me. Yeah,
For him to make a comment like that, he doesn't understand that could Rosa Parks have taken a cab? No, no, she could have
no,
taken a
No,
cab.
she exactly.
What cab was going to pick her up? She was black. Um,
out of
and
touch.
he also made a statement about the black community in general, that we need to learn how to better deal with the police. Um, and I don't know like what his real angle was, but he said it. Even though he tried to apologize for the things he said, he still said it. And I think, and that was his comment to the George Floyd video that he's seen. And the thing is, like, if this guy, he didn't do anything to indicate that he wasn't complying with the police.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
how better could he have dealt with uh, the police than the way he did? And so Shamik was more focused on saying that there's black on black crime. I mean, there's white on white crime as well, but he said
exactly.
that there's black on black crime, and we need to deal with that first, because that's like the bigger problem. I don't get it.
Yeah,
I don't get why he
I
said
don't
that.
get that. I don't get that either. That comment, black folks need to learn how to deal with the police. I don't understand that. He's not asking white folks to learn how to deal with the police. I think that police
Yeah,
officers who go into other people's communities should learn how to deal with them, right? Um,
exactly.
if you can't handle your fear and your phobia of black folks when you go to arrest one, maybe you shouldn't do it. And maybe you're in the wrong profession, right?
yeah,
That's completely ridiculous. Citizens should not have to learn to bow down to. Uh, well, let me just y'all get my point.
Yeah, I mean, but exactly what you're saying, man. Like, we shouldn't have to bow down to anybody. You are there to
Correct.
protect. Cops are there to protect and serve us. You should be
Yeah.
serving me. You should be making sure I'm okay. That is basically your duty. Your duty is not there to shoot me and kill me. And one of the things that I really hated about him is, like he said that we need to handle it appropriately. I mean,
yeah.
how much appropriately do you want us to keep on getting shot and and just not saying something. I mean, if that continues, if that line of thinking continues, oh, just handle it quietly, we're gonna have another second civil war. I mean, we're
Yeah,
already at the brink of it. We're at the brink of war right now.
yeah. He should have been promoting an end to police violence than trying to promote the fact that we need to handle the police better. Um, the police need to handle us better. How about that?
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, I really hope that we're not on the brink of something like that. But it's what blows my mind is, you know, we have these leaders and officials who have been complaining about the protests happening in the street across the country, even here in Houston today. Um, when they are the problem, right?
Yeah.
The easiest solution would be, and this just happened, the officer was just arrested but charged with third degree murder,
Manslaughter.
manslaughter. And it's one, you know, we're looking for 4 arrests to be made. We're looking for you to charge these people with the brutality of the murder that they committed on camera, on video. That is indisputable evidence. Um, Things like that are horrific. And let's think back, right? This is not the first time that Minneapolis PD in modern day America in the last, I don't know, it's 2020, the last 5 years has had a major case like this. We're looking at the death of Castile in 2016, and we have seen time and time again that this is a repetitive occurrence. It's a repetitive thing. And there's rarely justice, and that is what brews the anger and the frustration and the grief, and that's where people see riots. So to say that anyone who is protesting out in the country has like lost their mind, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That is years and generations of pain and trauma that people finally let out. It's oppression.
Yeah. Speaking of protesters, Trump's calls protesters in Minneapolis thugs.
Mm.
This just goes to show that Trump doesn't care about us. He doesn't sympathize with us. He's not for us. I mean, when I see black people for Trump, that makes my head explode, because you know this guy is not for us. He said that protesters should get shot. I mean, people, like you said,
Yeah.
Marcel, people are angry. You can't constantly push down on people and then just expect them to be okay with it. You can't continue to oppress people and push them down and hold them back and then not expect it for the lid to fly off, because the lid is going to always fly off. And you're seeing it
That's
especially
right.
with the younger generation, because the younger generation is not tolerating. You know, we
Yeah,
done already did the peaceful thing. We were already quiet. You know, that didn't work. So now, you know what? Sometimes you gotta break a couple of things. You gotta break some things to get your point across. I mean, look at the Boston Tea Party. You know, they
Yeah.
threw out tea, they destroyed the ships, because why? Because they were fighting against oppression. That's in America's blood, to fight against oppression. You get angry, you go break some stuff. That's the most American thing I know.
So I was just gonna say it was interesting to me to it was shocking. It was deeply shocking to read that tweet that when the looting starts, the shooting will start. That was absolutely such a low moment for the world to see a U.S. president tweet something like that. Completely ridiculous, but it's on brand with Donald Trump. We know that he is going to
Exactly.
get crazier and crazier as the election gets closer. And he is going, some not good things are going to happen, and that's the scariest part, is not knowing what the hell is going to happen tomorrow or in the next hour, because he's going to do something that's crazy and that will blow your mind. Excuse my language, almost. Um, but yeah, the Boston Tea Party. We saw just a month ago. They put I saw a side by side tweet of Donald Trump tweet. We had white protesters out in the capital of Michigan, and across the country and other cities, marching and shoving officers and pushing them and spitting on them with AR-15s strapped to their backs. And what was the president's response when they were doing that? When they were literally flooding a state capitol building and to intimidate these elected officials who are trying to bring security to their people's poorest and hungriest and most vulnerable population. The president said, these protesters need to be worked with because they're good people, and we need to do everything we can to bring these two sides together. Where is that energy with black folks who are protesting for the right to live and walk down the street without being attacked and murdered? I don't see the correlation, and he's just taking two different routes for two different kinds of races, and it makes me very uncomfortable because he is the white supremacist in the White House, greatest threat to us ever.
You know, when it comes down to Trump, man, he's a foolish person. So we can only expect foolish things from him. Um, you know, to expect anything rational or good from him is just, you know, that's pushing it a bit. Because Trump, time and time again, has shown us what and who he really cares about. Um, you know, if the protesters doesn't, you know, the host that just kind of shows me the whole situation doesn't matter to him. The death of George Floyd, the death of Ahmed Arbery, Breonna
Breonna Taylor.
Taylor. Yeah,
Yeah.
none of that matters to him, and that's just the ones that we know about. You know,
Yeah.
so if our lives doesn't matter to him, that would definitely mean to me that that's a president that we want to get out of office. I
Yeah.
don't want to have him in office because I like to have a president in office that cares about all, not just the rich, or in some cases he don't even care about the rich because if you got more money than him, he don't like you.
Yeah,
Yep.
he don't like you. Yeah, we did that story yesterday.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So with a president like that, man, you can expect all of his followers to be maybe just as crazy as he is. You know what I'm saying? So uh, the whole statement, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. I mean, what kind of buffoons our country must look like to other countries with a
Yeah.
leader like this? You know, making tweets like this. I think that we become like a laughing stock to other countries, and it's not making us look good, man. He's not the president that I think that those who put him in office expected him to be, and it's their fault. You know what I'm saying?
I think
Yeah.
some people did expect them. Like they Trump showed his racistness from the beginning. And you know what? That appealed to a lot of people. A lot of people were like, yeah, I don't like the brown people. I don't like the black people. I don't like, and they were like, and Trump is openly saying that. This guy is speaking my language. He is saying things that I can, yes, it's the black people fault. It's the brown people fault. That's all it was. And Trump, and so when Republicans now, some of the ones that do are like, well, this is not what I voted for. I'm like, BS. This is exactly what you voted for. He showed his true colors from the beginning. So don't now when you got what you wanted and you're just like, well, wow, he's overtly racist. Well, of course he's overtly racist. He's been an overt racist since the 70s. So I don't know. I just don't understand how people are surprised at the president that we have, or they don't are they're shocked to see the decline that the country's in. I mean, the man, like we keep saying, he's went bankrupt 6 times. I mean, he can't manage his way out of a sandwich bag. So I don't expect him to manage a country.
You're not wrong on that one. You're not wrong about that one.
I'm
uh,
just being real,
We'll hold up
y'all.
fingers, finding out which way is left.
Like,
That's yeah, yeah.
yeah.
He is sad, but you know what? I was talking to family and friends about this earlier, and was saying like we had a similar conversation about the shock level, right? Because some people are just like scrolling, right, like just Donald Trump again, right, being crazy. I'm just gonna not let it get into my head. Other people sat and froze and were like, hair sitting up the back of their necks, And I think that we can't let that feeling go, because we can't sit and think that
Yeah.
it is even remotely okay to read that, right? We have to, because once we become completely numb to the nonsense, then that means that we too start to lose our moral footing, right? Republicans have lost theirs. They let everything slide. They have not been phased for the past 4 years or 3.5 years. But Democrats need to continue to be shocked, need to continue to say this is not okay, need to continue to continue to show the parallels between former presidents. Hell, I've heard people say, that they would rather have any other Republican in office than this man here. And that's a true statement. Anybody but this guy needs to be in the White House. He is the most least deserving person, the most, he's entirely foolish and stupid and ignorant, and has very limited brain cells and vocabulary.
Yeah. It's really hard to watch the state our country's in. But
Yeah.
our next topic, we're going to continue the conversation about George Floyd and how he's brutally suffocated by the police thugs, because those are the real thugs, and how he was. All this happened because he allegedly used a counterfeit bill. So it wasn't even a violent crime. This was a crime. Even if it's an alleged crime, because we don't even know if he had the money. The man was very, very compliant to the police. So, for them to harass him and basically kill him over what it seems to be the use of counterfeit money, I don't think anybody in America should die because of the use of fake money, because you don't always know where that money's coming from. People have gotten fake bills just from buying stuff, and it's in the cash register, and you're like, oh wow, man, this dollar's fake. That always happens. So to say that this man died because of well, he really died because of racism, but they'll hide it under he was committing a crime. But is that a crime worthy of dying of? I don't think any crime is worthy of dying.
Absolutely not. To think that the death penalty or death by cop sentencing is an appropriate punishment for whatever he did that I have no clue if he did or didn't do, it is completely wrong. He was murdered. He was suffocated, and I think that he was dragged out of his car. They treated this man better than they treated the Parkland, Florida school shooter who had just killed dozens of people in their classrooms. That white kid was able to be apprehended peacefully, and he had just committed mass murder. A man who was committed a petty crime. If anything, that's what they allege, and I'm not sure what to think, because they also said at first that there was no body cam footage available, and there turns out that there was footage available. So who knows what to believe from this police department and these officials. I'm ready for the facts to come out. I trust the Floyd family and what their attorneys say is fact. It's growing really hard to trust the people who I watch commit murder on camera tell me what the facts are. It's hard to live with that.
Powerful statement, man. That's a very powerful statement.
Yes,
One
it
of the
is.
things that I would say is I don't want, like, if someone sees this going on, and it's hard to tell people to do this, but you shouldn't be comfortable watching other people die like that. And so, like I said on the show yesterday, if I saw somebody like that, if I saw something like that happening, I truly, honestly think I would intervene, because it has to stop. This has to stop somewhere and somehow. Like it needs to stop, and it's not going to stop unless people start being brave and taking action in their own hands. And no, you don't want to be attacking the police and stuff like that, because that only furthers the divide. But I mean, we need a call to action, and I think, and I know this is not a narrative a lot of people are with, but I truly think arming ourselves, and just if it's not even just a show of force, because the Republicans always have a show of force, and I feel like they get the respect. And so I'm like, well, if this is supposed to be America and it's supposed to be equal opportunity, then let me do the same thing, and I don't want to see you messing with me the same way.
Mm.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Now, one thing I have to say, everyone's at an uproar about this murder, and because it's a senseless murder, it's a wrongful murder, and no matter what the crime, nothing justifies a man being murdered right in the street. They say he died later, but my belief is that he died while the police were still pressing his knee up against the man's neck. Um, the whole protesting thing is fine, but when it gets to the point where it turns violent, I think that could be sending the wrong. I'm looking at the video and I see like people ransacking the stores, looting, stealing, taking stuff. That's not the right message because that kind of plays into the stereotype that already exists uh, for our community. I
Mm-hmm.
think that we need a smarter solution. We need to use our minds. We need to use our brains, and people who are in high positions, like government positions as well as public figures. We need to put our mind, even our money, together and come up with a solution that's suitable and that's civil. And we're dealing with this because rioting is not the answer. I mean, look at how Trump called him. He's sending the National Guard uh, to get the riot under control. And if we continue to riot in other parts, then guess what? Their numbers, they have more guns than us. Um, with that being said, I think that's just the wrong approach to dealing with it. There's a more civil way of dealing with it, a more sane way of dealing with it, should I say? And we just need to take a different approach, man. I think that if we put our minds together and utilize you know the capacity of our brains and not our fists or guns or whatever, then we could definitely come up. We can work up a solution. Uh, One thing I think that always keep your phone with you.
Yeah.
And then like Rush was saying yesterday, our white friends that those who are really our friends, help us out. If you see something, say something. Um, I think it takes all of us, man, not just the black community, because
Yeah.
the black community, I just think that we won't stand by ourselves, even those who are in a high position. But I think if the white community who are all really for us would join in with us, I think that we have a much better chance on beating this battle that we're fighting against police brutality against black people. That's
Yeah.
what we need to do. Just pull it together as one people, man, and pull it together as one people, and we could definitely make a much bigger impact than we could make if we tear up the stores and stuff. In fact, if you tear up your store, then where you gonna shop at? You gotta think about that kind of stuff. If I kind of get burning down the police station. I kind of get that, but at the same time, what message are you really sending
I
when
can't.
you
I
fight
agree with
violence
this.
with violence?
Yeah, completely agree with the last point about what message are you sending. I gotta say that specifically. um, but yeah, I mean, I think look, this is a community, and then it speaks for America as a whole that has tried to be peaceful for so long. They
Yeah.
watched Colin Kaepernick peacefully protest every Sunday, and to no avail. To end up losing his job and to be ridiculed by the president, and
And
by
blackball from the NFL.
folks across the country. Yeah. Um, and I think that the way we win, you're absolutely right, is when we all come together as one people. I think we saw a real shift happen in the 50s and 60s, when our white allies started joining in protest with us and started boycotting with us and started chanting with us, because those are their voters, those are their donors, those are their those are people that they're trying to please, right? Like it's Caucasian Americans, and so that's how we grow our own voice and our own message. Um, uh, and I mean, I saw this powerful image of a line of white protesters creating a human, shield, separating the police officers from the black protesters, and that's powerful
That
because
is.
you see white, I don't see these officers, attacking a line of white folks to get to a black person. I just don't see that happening, but they would have no problem going in and maybe, rallying up a situation that doesn't need escalating, and we see that all the time. Um, but yeah, I think that when we come together and we put our heads together and say what is the best course of action to not just fix the injustice system, but to completely rebuild, because this system is not a thing that you can just apply band-aids to and trust that it will hold together. This is a massive laceration that we have been putting band-aids on for a long time. And it's time that we go in for some major surgery and get it stitched up. You know what I mean? So that's how I see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the problems of the country, like you said, it almost it stems from the beginning. I mean,
Yeah.
our country is built upon bad buju. Like we kicked off the Native Americans, started
Yeah.
that genocide, started a second genocide with African Americans. I mean, it's just an ongoing thing. So, like you said, it goes deep. These problems won't be fixed. I mean, hopefully they'll be fixed in our lifetime, and hopefully we can like try and end racism in America. But when the ties are so deep and so systematic, it's gonna take a lot to get it removed. It's gonna take people being involved, people voting, people organizing. That's one of the top things I say, that we need to organize, because we are stronger in numbers than we are individually. I want to ask y'all a quick question. So we kind of talked about the burning of the police station. So what are y'all takes? Do you think it was appropriate? I mean, I know we all understand it, but was it appropriate? Was it non-appropriate?
I see the side and understand the justification of the act of symbolism of what I think means we need to. This is like this building may represent a system that has oppressed us for
Yeah.
so long, that killed us, and our only choice is to metaphorically and then literally burn it down and then rebuild. Right? I think it's more of a symbolic message like that. Like this can no longer stand. But like would I go out and cheer on folks who are burning down a police station? I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't stand there and clap, and I wouldn't throw a Molotov, and I wouldn't do that. But I understand the symbolism. This is a we are a hurt people, right? And so to try and rationalize actions that are occurring out of grief and trauma and pain. We can't sit here and say it's 100,000% doesn't make any sense, because it does make sense.
Yeah.
Something that we should see a lot of. I hope not. I hope that we don't have a country that is burning. That would be entirely depressing. But this case, I see what it means.
My answer to your question, Gian, I always say two wrongs doesn't make a right. Um, although I understand the statement, but I just see a better way of making that statement, that doesn't involve with destruction. I mean, because from their end, they're bringing enough destruction into the black community, on the black
Yeah.
community. So, us paying destruction with destruction, it's not going to build, it's just going to create more destruction.
Destruction. Yeah.
It's not going to fix anything. So, my answer is, should they have done it? Is it really truly justified? No, no.
Yeah.
It's like a no and yes.
Yeah.
Because as I said, I do understand the statement, but but the whole gesture of doing, if you do me evil, I do you evil. It's not a good move.
Well, yeah,
And
they say eye for an eye and all leaves us
yeah,
blind.
yeah.
So
I just, that's just not the way you do it. That's not the way you do it uh, from any angle, because I think that when you retaliate like that, you become just as bad as the person that you're retaliating on.
yeah. Well, I kind of differ from this. I mean, I differ totally because I do think I think it was justified. I think it was the right thing to do. I mean, as y'all both know, I am a little bit radical but this radicalism comes from me being tired of it, and this could be any one of us. I mean, all of us here on this podcast, we're all black. So, and just to think like, man, Marcel, that could be you, or D, that could be you, or that could be one of my cousins. And I know if that was somebody close to me and somebody that I knew, I mean, I would get up and I would do something. I would probably do something radical and do something, not in my right mindset. But I just feel like that just goes to show like it's almost like we're fighting a war. And it's not there yet, but it's pretty close to it. I mean, just looking at how the cops just get rid of us every day, it's like, man, like we really got a target on us. And I know a lot of people will say, well, that'll put an even bigger target. But I think right now what we're seeing in America is we're seeing a lot of people tired of this. And so I think we'll have more allies on our side than we would have against us. But I say this in this is like that's the last absolute resort. I would never want to see this country that I grew up in, no matter how bad it is. I don't want to see it burned down to the ground. I know a lot of people may say that, but no, I don't want to see America burn. I want to see America prosper. That's why I'm so hard on America, because I know how great we can be. I know the things that we can do. And this blight on our country is just keeping us back and setting us backwards.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree with that too. But as far as the reacting in a way that causes more destruction, that's the one thing I would never really agree. I mean, yeah, it's maybe a last resort, but we got to try the other resorts first.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
and I
the
totally
thing
agree.
is, like, this thing is not something new, guys. This been going on way back in the biblical days. This didn't
Yeah,
just start with us. It didn't start with our ancestors. It started way back since the beginning of time. And even in the Bible, people were treated different because of they were darker. Um, so with that being said, I think that the fight maybe has not ever been 100% fully properly fought from our behalf.
hmm
And saying that, I mean, not just the black community, but like I said before, let's join in with the white community. Let's join in with other
other communities.
Mexicans.
Yeah,
Even over in another country, they're joining in and protesting and showing their respect for the murder of George Floyd and how it all transpired. I think that if we use our voice more than physicality, then I think that we'll make a much louder statement than burning down a police station or ransacking stores and stuff. Because what if your place get burned down because someone wants to retaliate on you?
yeah.
Because you burn down the police station. What if some police that work there maybe not be prejudiced at all? But what if they retaliate and say, okay, this is a black owned business, yeah, let's go burn that down.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a black community, let's just go and bomb the whole community. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
mean,
we gotta think. We have to
You
think,
know,
man. We gotta handle this thing, like I said, more civil.
I saw an interesting video on Twitter that suggested an individual who was taking a hammer to some of these business windows and had started a few fires. Apparently, there was a couple or a few of men like this dressed the same way, with gas masks and black umbrellas and jackets in 80-degree humid weather, and similar boots. That were confronted by the real protesters as he was doing this act at this, I think, AutoZone,
Yeah.
and asked, "Are you a cop?" He said, "Why does it matter?" That seems to me not like the answer a protester would give. I think that someone who was actually there to protest with the community would have said something like, "No, I'm on y'all side. Maybe I apologize for starting another thing, a situation at this building." But it's going to be interesting down the line to see whether or not any individuals were asked by somebody to come and kind of
And
ruin the true meaning of the protests. There was a Native American museum that was burned down. I can't see a minority community deciding that another oppressed people don't deserve to have their artifacts and their art and their documents that go back in time with their groups. I can only see one group of people thinking that would cause true pain in a community and further divide a community already divided. So it's going to be interesting down the line to see that evidence come out. Because the image, the side by side that I saw of a specific police officer and this man on the video in a gas mask was striking. So I don't know if it's him. That's my legal disclaimer. I don't know if it's him. The police
allegedly.
They made a statement that said clearly that the rumor is not true. But again, I go back to my earlier point that it's kind of hard to believe the people who we watched kill somebody on tape tell us what is and what is not fact. It's kind of difficult to do.
Guys, I have a question. Now, I'm actually rewinding a little bit uh, about the George Floyd murder. The police, uh, Derek Chauvin, I think that's how you say his last name. But okay, so he was arrested, but I understand he wasn't charged with anything yet. And I kind of have a theory about that, you know. And it's like I said, it's a theory, but I think that it's a possibility that he was only arrested to protect him. What do
Oh,
y'all think?
definitely.
Got it.
Well, if you look at the video of at his house, you see that he has probably 100 cops out there protecting him. I mean, so I can definitely see them arresting him because then they put him in a controlled area where they can watch him. They don't have to worry about outside people getting to him. So I can
Yeah.
definitely see them arresting him to keep him safe.
Yeah, I saw that they said he was put into like some kind of witness protection program, which is weird because they never put perpetrators in witness protection programs that I can understand. I don't know if that's true or not.
Not a
I read
witness.
it. Just because I read it doesn't mean it's true, right? But like you said, if he is given some kind of special treatment, um, that just further proves the point of these protesters that there is not one justice system that everyone falls under. There is not equal justice under the law. If he is given special treatment because even though he was seen murdering someone on video, and he's being protected, it makes us question whose side is law enforcement on. You're either on the side of the law and enforcing it, or you're on the side of the bad guys. And you cannot play both roles. You cannot protect murderers and also claim to protect and serve a community. You cannot do both things. You have to choose. And if you choose wrong, you get rebuilt. Your institution is
Yeah.
rebuilt.
It seems like now that the justice system, um, the justice system are the bad guys. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
they uphold the bad guys. So to me, it makes them bad guys. That's how I see it. You know.
I mean, our president is a bad guy. So the
Yes.
like they said, the head rots from the feet down or whatever. So I could
Yep.
definitely see, yeah, our president is bad. it just goes all the way down.
We
Yeah.
just we gotta pray for him. We gotta pray for him, y'all.
Yeah.
Even when he get out of office, we gotta pray for him because he's out there.
Yeah. So, guys, I want to thank my special guest, Marcel McClinton, for being
Yeah.
on the show. Thank you for giving us your raw take, man. I want everybody to like, comment, and subscribe. I need y'all to kill the like button. Share this video. This is the only place where you hear a raw take. You're getting it here, y'all. Nowhere else on any social media platform, any YouTube channel, nowhere. This is where we're hitting you with the hard facts. So y'all be sure to stay tuned for next week's episode. Y'all have a good day.
Also, GM, before we end, we did say that we were gonna do something, a special show, once we did reach our first 100 subscribers. Everybody, all you guys know that the channel is very new. So if you guys help us get to our first 100 subscribers, we're gonna do a special. We want y'all to in the comments, like if you have any kind of suggestions or anything, mention it in the comments. And like I said before, if it's not too crazy, your suggestion might get picked. If it's not too crazy, yeah.
That's great.
All
All
right.
right, y'all. You have a good day.
See y'all later. Peace. Thanks for having me on.
No problem, man.